Before August 20th, 1986, the villages surrounding Lake Nyos in Cameroon were quiet, peaceful places. Communities like Nyos, Com, and Subum thrived in fertile valleys, where the rich volcanic soil made farming and raising cattle abundant and reliable. The lake itself, sitting in the crater of an ancient volcano, was calm and clear, a serene presence that shaped daily life without causing concern. Children played in open fields, while families tended to livestock and household tasks, and the evenings were often calm and ordinary. Locals had lived beside the lake for generations, unaware that beneath its placid surface lay a hidden threat. The night before the disaster, the village was unusually quiet, a stillness that, in hindsight, was almost ominous. No one could have predicted that the air they would breathe hours later would become deadly, or that the lake they relied on would erupt with an invisible killer. This ordinary evening set the stage for one of the strangest and deadliest natural disasters in modern history, hidden beneath the surface of a peaceful highland lake. As night fell on August the 21st, 1986, a deep rumbling sound echoed faintly across the hills near Lake Nyos. Some villagers described it as a distant explosion, unusual and unsettling, but they did not suspect the catastrophe that would follow. Soon, a dense white cloud began rising from the lake, unlike any fog or mist they had seen before. This massive plume of gas, more than 300 feet thick, flowed silently over the crater's edge, heavier than air, and descended into the valleys below. It moved like a creeping river of suffocation, hugging the ground as it advanced, leaving no time for escape. Survivors on higher ground watched helplessly as the cloud swallowed homes, fields, and livestock, while others smelled a strange odor reminiscent of gunpowder or rotten eggs just before losing consciousness. The gas was almost pure carbon dioxide, displacing oxygen and causing instant asphyxiation at the concentrations present that night. Within minutes, the villages were eerily silent, with people and animals alike collapsing where they stood, and the invisible killer had claimed its first victims. When the sun rose on August 22nd, 1986, the world around Lake Nyos was unrecognizable. Villages that had been lively just hours before were now completely lifeless. Those few who had survived by climbing to higher ground or staying near the crater's edge returned to a scene of unimaginable horror. In Nyos, only 4 people remained alive out of hundreds. In nearby villages such as Com and Subum, entire communities had vanished. The bodies of men, women, and children lay in homes, in fields, and along pathways, with no visible wounds or signs of struggle. Livestock had also perished. An estimated 3,500 cattle and countless goats, sheep, and other animals lay dead across the fertile valleys. Birds and insects had been suffocated as well, leaving an eerie quiet that extended at least 14 miles from the lake's edge. The lake itself bore witness to the disaster. Normally clear, the water had turned a deep reddish brown, a result of iron-rich water from the lake's depths, reacting with the oxygen it suddenly encountered. Its surface had dropped by about 3 feet, and trees along the shoreline were flattened as if struck by a powerful force. Investigators later discovered that many survivors had been unconscious for as long as 36 hours, waking to find their entire families and neighbors gone. Joseph Nquain, a resident of Subum, described stepping outside to see no familiar faces, only silence and devastation. Emergency response was slow due to the remoteness of the area and the shock experienced by nearby towns. Villagers from further away and some government officials arrived to find the scale of the disaster nearly impossible to comprehend. They carried the few survivors to temporary shelters and hospitals, where around 300 people were treated for respiratory distress, nausea, and strange pressure-related skin lesions. These wounds were initially mistaken for chemical burns, but were later understood to be the result of long periods of unconsciousness combined with environmental exposure. The human toll was staggering, but the environmental impact was equally catastrophic. Trees along the slopes of the crater were stripped of leaves or snapped entirely. Crops in the valleys below were buried under a layer of gas-induced frost and chemical residues from the sudden carbon dioxide release. The quiet devastation left a haunting lesson. A lake that had appeared tranquil and life-giving had silently transformed into an agent of mass destruction. The scale of the disaster stunned both the local population and the scientific community, raising urgent questions about how a body of water could contain such a lethal force, and what measures could prevent it from happening again. In the days following August 22, 1986, scientists and government officials arrived at Lake Nyos to investigate what had caused such an unprecedented disaster. Initial speculation ranged from chemical leaks to volcanic eruptions, as survivors had reported a strange smell, often described as rotten eggs, in the moments before losing consciousness. But careful examination revealed no signs of explosive activity, no lava, no ash, and no chemical residue, capable of causing immediate mass fatalities. Instead, water samples taken from the lake's depths revealed an astonishing concentration of dissolved carbon dioxide. The gas had been trapped for decades, perhaps centuries, under the immense pressure of the 600-foot deep lake. Researchers quickly identified the disaster as a limnic eruption, a phenomenon virtually unknown at the time. Lake Nyos, lying in a volcanic crater, had accumulated carbon dioxide released slowly from magma beneath the Earth's surface. Because the gas was heavier than air, it had formed a layer in the deep water without mixing with the upper layers. On the night of August 21st, some disturbance, possibly a minor landslide, a tremor, or even heavy rainfall, caused the deep gas-saturated water to rise. As it neared the surface, the pressure dropped and the dissolved carbon dioxide rapidly escaped, forming a massive cloud that flowed over the crater rim. This eruption expelled roughly 1.2 cubic kilometers of carbon dioxide in a matter of minutes. Scientists soon realized the deadly gas behaved like a liquid that hugged the ground, displacing oxygen and suffocating everything in its path. The reddish-brown coloration of the lake was explained by iron hydroxide, formed as iron-rich water met oxygen during the eruption. The mechanism, while now understood, was terrifying. A serene lake had been transformed into a silent killer, releasing an invisible, odorless gas capable of erasing entire communities in moments. The Lake Nyos event also prompted a review of other crater lakes worldwide. Just 2 years earlier, Lake Manoon, also in Cameroon, had claimed 37 lives through a similar, though smaller, limnic eruption. Scientists recognized that without intervention, Nyos could erupt again, potentially within 15 to 30 years. This realization sparked urgent international efforts to design engineering solutions capable of preventing future tragedies. The discovery of the limnic eruption mechanism represented both a scientific breakthrough and a chilling reminder of nature's hidden dangers. In the aftermath of the Lake Nyos disaster, attention shifted from understanding the eruption to preventing another catastrophe. Approximately 4,000 people were evacuated from villages around the lake, with survivors relocated to resettlement areas like Kimbi and Bwabwa. Life in these camps was challenging. Housing was often inadequate, sanitation limited, and access to schools and healthcare sparse. Some children had to walk 7 kilometers to attend school, highlighting the long-term struggles faced by displaced communities. Psychological trauma ran deep as survivors coped with the sudden loss of entire families and neighbors. The Cameroonian government pledged to support reconstruction, but for decades, much of this aid was delayed or incomplete. To address the ongoing threat, scientists and engineers devised an innovative solution: degassing pipes. The first pipe was installed in 2001, with 2 additional pipes added in 2011. These pipes extract carbon dioxide from the deep layers of the lake in a controlled manner, allowing the gas to escape safely into the atmosphere. The process is self-sustaining, as water rising through the pipe reduces pressure and continuously releases gas. By 2019, the system had successfully lowered carbon dioxide concentrations to safe levels, effectively preventing another limnic eruption. The disaster at Lake Nyos also influenced global awareness of other volcanic lakes, such as Lake Kivu, which borders the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Lake Kivu contains both carbon dioxide and methane gas, posing a potential threat to over 2 million residents along its shores. The monitoring and degassing technology developed for Nyos now serves as a blueprint for mitigating these risks. Ultimately, Lake Nyos remains a stark reminder of nature's hidden dangers and the importance of science in disaster prevention. While the tragedy claimed 1,746 lives, it also spurred international collaboration, engineering, innovation, and scientific understanding that continue to save lives. The survivors and communities displaced by the eruption still live with its legacy, but today the lake is monitored, controlled, and far safer than it was on that silent night of August 21st, 1986. The Lake Nyos disaster teaches us that some of the most deadly forces in nature are invisible, and only knowledge, vigilance, and preparation can protect humanity from repeating history.